Mayor DeBlasio is still under fire for his decision to visit Germany to join those G20 protests soon after an NYPD officer was assassinated. DeBlasio back for the funeral of Officer Familia, and he spoke at that funeral, but it certainly didn't tamp down much of the criticism. The heads of the major police unions, they're saying DeBlasio self-serving, his priorities way off, and way worse. Well, Dom sat down with one of the more influential union leaders of the entire NYPD, Ed Mullins. He's head of the Sergeants Benevolent Association, and he didn't really hold back, Dom.
That's an understatement, Richard. Many police officers turned their back on Mayor DeBlasio at the funeral, and I started off by asking Ed Mullins exactly about that. Mr. President, let's start with the police funeral this week. Mayor DeBlasio calls it sad that some cops turned their backs on him during the funeral. Do police officers owe New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio an apology?
Absolutely not. I think the mayor owes the NYPD and the people in the city of New York an apology. We need to take a real good look at what's occurred in this city in the last 4 years. We've had 6 police officers killed by gunfire.
Wait a minute, 6 police officers?
6. 6 police officers in 4 years as compared to 1 police officer in the previous 4 years. Now, these are the officers that have been killed by gunfire. I'm not counting the ones who've been shot and seriously injured. Okay? The atmosphere in the city of New York has changed over the last 4 years, where protesters have been allowed to develop a venom to dislike and to hate the police. This is occurring on a daily basis in the city of New York. Of the 6 police officers that were killed, 3 were assassinated. They were assassinated sitting in vehicles. So you explain to me why any member of the NYPD owes this mayor an apology. This mayor went to Germany right a day later after the assassination of Officer Familia. Okay? He goes to Germany, and what does he do? He's protesting over in Germany where 200 more police officers get injured. So why in the world would any police officer owe him an apology? I get what's occurring. I see it. I see the politics of what he's saying now. He's condemning the judge that released an emotionally disturbed person the other day wanting to kill police officers. He's condemning them as of last night. Well, Mr. Mayor, that happened over the weekend when you were in Germany. And I know you're playing catch up right now, but you're way off base.
Mr. President, Mayor de Blasio says, quote, "We were all supposed to be there to respect the family in their hour of pain. That's the only thing people should have been thinking about, not making some type of political statement."
I don't think a political statement was made. And I think that the purpose of all of us for being there did pay tribute and respect the family and Officer Familia. Don't take away, don't disguise what's really occurring on her death. That officer contributed big time to this city. She donated a time to the Red Cross. She was a nurse. She took care of her children, and she committed herself to the people of NYPD. She earned everything she was entitled to that day, but she never should have been assassinated. Where's the accountability for the individual that left St. Barnabas Hospital? Where is that accountability? Who's in charge to make sure that these things don't occur? I don't see the Bronx DA running around now looking to create an investigation for an indictment on some doctor that let this individual out and go free. So our mental health system is broke. We see it every day. Look around at homeless people, and that's not to say that every person who's homeless has mental health issues. We have veterans in this city that are being disregarded. They have no place to live, no place to work. And this isn't just my view. Have the people of the city of New York take a look around. They'll see it. It's in the streets. And who's in charge? Who's charged with the responsibility of fixing these issues that are facing the city? We don't owe an apology to the mayor. We certainly don't. The politics that's occurred here has to stop. The police are keeping the city intact, and we're doing it on a very fine thread right now because we don't have the support of this mayor nor this police commissioner.
But reading between the lines of what you're saying, Mr. President, if Mayor de Blasio is such a bad mayor, why does it appear he's cruising to victory?
Well, I don't personally believe in whatever polls exist. I mean, we've seen this happen. We all thought Hillary Clinton would be president. That didn't happen. You know, we follow what gets said in newspapers and on TV. We don't see challenges out there right now. We're waiting to find out who the actual candidates are going to be. And I guess when we see who's in a race, what's going to occur. He may just win because we don't know who's actually running right now. That we have a Cuban female assemblywoman looking to run. I mean, talk about breaking the glass and raising the bar. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Well, I'm hearing other candidates on the Democrat side may challenge him. I don't know if it's true, but we'll see.
All right, Tom. Listen, less to be said, I have not been a critic of this mayor consistently. And we'll get into the political malpractice that he showed going to Germany when he did. But he just, in effect, blamed the deaths of the officers on the mayor. And he also condoned turning their backs at a police funeral on the mayor. I don't think that, A, it's either fair, or B, it's in the city's best interest to have that kind of a thing, let alone is that the right venue for that. But, you know, that said, I'm surprised he went as far as he did. I remember when Lynch, obviously, where he went after those two cops were killed. But the pushback against him was really strong when he said the mayor had blood in his hands. Mullins, in so many words, saying the same thing again.
He's saying exactly the same thing, and they basically feel the same way. And in this case, I think that it's fair to say the rank and file police officer, many of them share exactly the same sentiment of what we just heard. The fact of the matter is they, for whatever reason, don't like this mayor. They don't feel that this mayor has their back, and it's as simple as that, Richard.
You know, we mentioned last week, again, however you feel about it, but the political malpractice of the mayor and the optics of standing with not just protesters, anarchists, and whatever else, the delusion that he's somehow the face of the national progressive movement here, and we've already seen what happened in the campaign when it didn't work out for him, but the timing of it. I thought, I'm not trying to be crass because it's a tragedy, but there was an opportunity for him. He should have not gone to every single vigil. He should have been there for the cadet swearing-in ceremony. He should have, even if they didn't want him, he should have been present the whole time. This was a female officer. This was Officer Color. This is, I mean, he could have reached out here, but instead, he made a tragic situation into a problem for him. That said, I was a little off-put here by what I just heard from Mr. Mullins.
Well, I think Mr. Mullins has had a little too much coffee, frankly, but the fact of the matter is this mayor repeatedly is tone deaf on this stuff. You wonder who's advising this guy. He goes to Germany where there are disruptions and riots and police are being attacked. At the same time, we're mourning a police officer here to speak. What is he trying to accomplish? Is he the international progressive voice? But he can't, you know, Mullins is over the top, okay, for a lot of reasons. But why does this guy do these things? You'd think somebody would say, you know, look, Mayor, it really isn't a good time to go. And by the way, did you see the news? They're rioting there. I mean, you're going to speak on behalf of them while you've got to. Well, he spoke
Richard,
to the same group.
The optics where he did.
The same group.
If you're making a political criticism, it's a fair one,
And an obvious one.
and one that's been made about this guy repeatedly. But but at some point, what you're holding up as the political model for this guy is to make this terrible tragedy and death a week-long focus of his mayoralty. If he hadn't gone to Germany but had gone to Pennsylvania, would that have been okay? If he hadn't gone to Germany but had
what
gone
I'm
on
saying
vacation for a day,
I'm sorry.
that
What I'm
would have been
saying
okay?
is, as the mayor, he should have, and I would have advised as such, and I know you would have, do not leave the 5 boroughs. You go to every church you can. You show every bit of respect you can.
You're probably right.
Probably.
But when it comes to the kind of criticism that Dominic extracted from Sergeant Mullins, nothing would
And
stop
yet,
that.
Andrew, here we are in getting to be mid-July, and barring something unforeseen, he is going to cruise, not get to the next election. He's going to cruise through it. It's one of the most stunning things I've seen here in terms of
Those
an
stupid-
absence of credible challenge.
Those stupid voters.
Unless Nicole Malliotakis
Yours, not
somehow
me.
catches fire, which doesn't seem that likely, unless, you know, we get more interviews like that one with blaming the mayor for everything.
A little bit endorsing her candidacy. All right, everybody, when we come back, there was some news at Washington where the White House is circling the wagons, that as it continues to defend Donald Trump Jr. and to try and make light of his meeting with a Russian attorney. Senate investigators, though, don't seem to be so forgiving. At least one of them is asking Don Jr. to testify under oath, and will subpoena him if necessary.